With me now is Barry Eidlin. He is a labor expert and the author of Labor and the Class Idea in the U.S. and Canada. Barry, thanks so much for your time today for CTV News Channel.
Thanks for having me.
Walk us through the reforms the government is pushing at Canada Post and the opposition coming from the union's perspective.
Yeah, so from the union's perspective, what this is an effort to dismantle the Postal Service. This is getting rid of home delivery. This is closing post offices. This is eliminating thousands of jobs. And, this is basically a repeat of the Stephen Harper Conservative government's efforts to, severely cut back and probably privatize the much of the Postal Service. And so it seems that the Carney government is trying to do that now, which is why it has provoked such a strong response from the Postal Workers Union.
The government says these reforms are needed, however, to save Canada Post.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by the word save, right? We need to remember that this minister, Lightbaum, his title is the Minister of Government Transformation. One would think that his interest would be in creating transformations that benefit the Canadian public, but all that this does is cut services that many Canadians rely on. There's no question here about the need to reinvent the Postal Service. That's not what's at issue here. The issue is how that is going to work and whether it's going to be a reinvention of the Postal Service that actually serves the interests of Canadians across the country, right? This is a service that is a public service, that is a valuable public service for millions of Canadians, and its benefit is that it reaches into every single Canadian community. That's something that nobody else does. No private company does that. And so are there ways to innovate and provide other services, perhaps, which is something that the Postal Workers Union has proposed, that could leverage that quality that Canada Post has that nobody else has, and actually provide an improved service to the Canadian public rather than taking things away?
Now, do you see in the current state of affairs where some sort of resolution or compromise could be found to really find a balance to revamp the Postal Service as is needed, but also respect union and workers' rights?
Yeah, I mean, that is the question, right? It's not clear here the extent to which Canada Post does not seem interested in reaching agreement. They have basically left the federal government to negotiate on their behalf, which is basically what the minister, Lightbaum, was doing with his announcement, was basically taking over negotiating on behalf of Canada Post management. There are proposals on the table from the Postal Workers Union about dealing with the critical issue of weekend delivery, which they recognize as an important issue. The issue is what type of jobs those jobs will be. They're willing to negotiate over that. So I think that the question is to what extent Canada Post management and the federal government are actually willing to listen to some of these proposals.
Barry Eidlin is a labor expert and author of Labor and the Class Idea in the U.S. and Canada. Barry, thanks so much for your time today on CTV News Channel.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
And for the very latest developments in this ongoing saga between Canada Post and CUPW, the union representing some 55,000 postal workers, and the strike action that has just been initiated, you can go to our website, ctvnews.ca.